Welcome back to Let's Grow. I'm Linda Kelly, founder of the Kelly Mental Health Foundation, and we are talking winter topics having to do with mental health. A lot of the stuff that we're talking about is around depression, sadness, feelings of disconnection, but one of the biggest issues that we're encountering this year in particular, with COVID being everything that we're talking about, is grief. So Cassandra, thank you for coming on and talking to us about this very difficult topic. Yeah. Now, you have experienced a loss this year, and COVID had a big impact on that, did it not?
Yeah, it did. We unfortunately lost my grandmother a few months ago, and so it was very different. Just because of the limitations and restrictions on people and numbers and stuff like that. So we had to kind of tell people, our family, unfortunately some of them couldn't come, and so that was really difficult. Definitely interesting to go through. I know a lot of people have lost, and thankfully in my grandmother's case, she lived at home, so we were able to be with her. But I couldn't imagine having a loved one in the hospital right now, and something was to take a turn and you lose them and you can't be with them. So it's very, very difficult. It was very difficult for our family. It was just interesting times. So
it's so complicated this year with the restrictions, because that does impede our ability to grieve truly, because with grief, a lot of times it is the traditions around grief that help us to express. Societally, we have these expectations, there will be, a wake and a service, a burial, and even in the winter, in some communities, you can't bury in the winter.
Yeah.
Right? So that can be a big issue. There's sometimes even just financially, because of the way that this year has gone, and people may not actually be able to afford
it. Yeah.
Right. Burying their loved ones, which is just awful.
In our situation, my father and my mother who passed away, they put money aside for my grandmother, so we were very thankful. We actually had no idea. We found out it was all a secret and a nice little gift to my aunt, who took care of and basically did everything. But it was hard. It was just trying to decide, those members that could go, the whole situation. We had an option of waiting to basically bury her at a later date. But in our family, we just felt that we couldn't start healing, we couldn't start our healing process. And so, it was definitely interesting. And so we did make the decision to obviously respect the COVID restriction, the numbers. We did do a small burial service. It was outside, which my grandmother, she loved her church, but we made that decision, that we couldn't do it. So things kind of did change, but I'm happy that we did it. It was just really difficult. So I couldn't even imagine dealing with that over, adding on the holiday stress that we've been talking about, adding that on to, grief. It's really difficult.
Holidays can be so triggering, for lack of a better word, for people that have lost loved ones. And there's no specific reason why that is. I think that it's often because the holidays are the time where we slow down. But in the wintertime, we just simply do less. And so we have more time to reflect. So, I'm curious sometimes, how people will deal with their grief over this coming winter. Not only for people that have, they lost in the past, but more recently, and the sort of the complications around grieving. We've got someone on our crew that is kind of going through the process of losing her pet. I lost a family member this year, and we haven't encountered that before with this sort of particular generation. That's the first of her generation that we know to have lost. So what are some of the things that you found out that people can do to help with, creating the traditions, having ways to remember their loved ones?
Well, I actually brought it to our team, and we had an open and honest conversation about it. So we actually talked about certain things that, can kind of, it's almost like starting a tradition and a way to remember them. So a lot of people, we talked about lighting a candle, every Christmas, just so that they feel that they're there, bringing out a picture of them. If you have a family dinner, having that there. There was a few different ones. It was actually one of our staff was talking about decorating the tree. You know, they do that in honor with them because, like, or sorry, with their immediate family because they used to decorate with them as well. So just small things like that, even down to one person said, even having like a cup of cocoa and putting like a specific amount of like marshmallows in it. There was outside things that they did. We can go for walks and stuff like that, like just to kind of, like how you mentioned, to reflect and just kind of just have those awesome memories, and just it's just a way to respect them. And some people choose to do that, some people obviously don't. Some people are a little bit more private, things people do it differently. My brother, like my parents loved Christmas, so my brother decorates a crazy amount. Like I've never seen someone decorate a house more in my life. So that's kind of what he does, and that kind of makes him feel a little bit more connected to our parents. So everyone is really different, but it was kind of interesting to see how different things were and how everyone kind of does things differently. It was neat.
One of the biggest things we often will tell people as well is use their name, right? Have their picture up. Talk about them, you know, give it just, you know, create the atmosphere where it is okay, because the more often you say their name and you talk about them, the easier it's going to be on you.
It's almost more healing almost, right? Yeah. Yes, I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing.
Absolutely.
And thanks for watching. See you next time.